found myself in a classroom last week where they laid out for me a moral dilemma they were discussing as part of a school assignment. And the dilemma went a little something like this. You're on a sports team playing in the championship game. It's a tight game, and you're lining up across from the best player on the other team. Now, you know that this player, he suffered a knee injury a few weeks before the game. And you have the opportunity to take him out at the knees and perhaps knock him out of the game by injuring him. What do you do? And for me, without a second thought, the answer is you don't. I mean, if you're playing a contact sport and there's incidental contact or there's hitting like in football or hockey that's kind of naturally part of the game, that's one thing, but it's another thing entirely to deliberately go after somebody and attempt to injure them. Now this stems from an area of Catholic teaching we call the dignity of the human person. The Youth Catechism, or UCAT, sums it up like this. Every person from the first moment of his life in the womb has an inviolable dignity, because from all eternity God willed, loved, created, and redeemed that person and destined him for eternal happiness. Christians believe that human dignity is, in the first place, the result of God's respect for us. Simply put, some of you will know that I have repeated to you on a number of occasions a quote from our retired Pope Benedict XVI, when he said, each of us is the result of a thought of God. Each of us is willed and loved and necessary. Now, this has some implications. This has some consequences for us if we really understand what's going on. The first consequence is it should impact the way that we treat other people. Yes, in scenes and moral dilemmas like the one my students presented to me, but 100 other circumstances as well. Because the reality is when we come across somebody else, it doesn't matter how old they are, it doesn't matter where they're from, it doesn't matter what they've done, it doesn't matter if they agree with us on certain, great topics of the day or not. A person is a person is a person is a person. And they deserve our care, our compassion, our charity, and our respect. If it's a person we can see face to face, they deserve this. If it's a person we're interacting with online, they deserve this. But there's a second consequence of seeing the value in every human life, and that comes when you look at yourself in the mirror. I often wonder when I look at a time in history where so many of us upload so many photos to social media, where we pick and choose which picture we're going to show, we run it through certain filters, and we try and show ourselves in the best light. This is what we share. This is what we show to other people. What do we see when we look at ourselves in the mirror? Because if I'm going to say that this idea of God's love and God's deliberateness in creating you, if that's true for every other person you'll encounter, that's true for you as well. It means that when God looks at you, he sees his beloved child. He sees someone that is precious to him. He sees someone worth sacrificing his life for. And you are far more than the summary of your weaknesses and your failures. You're here for some particular purpose that God has created you for. And therefore you have worth because God sees that worth in you, even when you don't see it in yourself. And so when you look at that moral dilemma, maybe the easiest way to answer that is put yourself on the other side of it. If you were the one recovering from an injury, or you were the one in a desperate situation, what would you want? Would you want to be put down even further, or would you want to be lifted up? Would you want someone to see your personhood, regardless of whether you feel like you deserve it or not, regardless of whether they're on the other team or not? That's the Catholic moral teaching on human dignity. Whoever's on the other side of the conversation, whoever's sitting across from you, whoever's lining up across from you, they are always, and in every circumstance, a person.